फोन.
Too bad to transfer. 0000. Adjust कर सकते हैं. First start करते हो तो second तेरह चल रहा है फिर से स्ट्रीट और आती है अपनी जैसे करना
Yeah, 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 it is.
नीचे कुछ नहीं
Sure. I mean, without definitely not.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing fine. We are beginning with the session. An ode to fearless women. Defined by no men, you are your own story. Blazing through the world, turning history into her story. And when they dare to tell you about all things you cannot be, you smile and tell them, I am both war and women, and you cannot stop me. Nikita Gill. Gender stereotypical representation in media has been going on for a few decades, especially in Bollywood. With reductive sense of feminism, over-feminized men to represent the queer community, and hyper-masculine men to save the damsel in distress, media has been teaching us these misleading overtures for far too long, which in turn lets our youth believe in these ideas. It is extremely important for everyone in this room, especially the students, to understand the importance of distinguishing between the reality on the screen and the real life. In real life, men and women share the burdens of running a household. Women are the breadwinners, and transgender persons are our greatest friends. Today, on this morning, we meet to hear from prolific industry experts on this topic and on a panel discussion for Mumbai Gender Law 2023. A round of applause, please. Although the weather doesn't demand it, I wish a cheerful morning to everyone present here and a thank you for being here. We begin this session by a welcome address from the Vice Principal of KE Ashraf College, Dr. V.S. Kannan sir.
Good morning to all of you. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to this fine program. Respected guests, students, my dear colleagues, it is indeed a great pleasure to welcome you all for this program. And we talk about equity, equality, and many more. But when it comes to us, many times we forget to practice it. The eminent guests who are available today, who are going to speak, they will surely enlighten your knowledge. And at the end of the day, after this program, I'm sure our students will be a different one. Thank you for accepting our invitation and be there in this morning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, I invite Dr. Vibhuti Patel to deliver the inaugural address. Former professor at TIS and SNDT, her favorite area of research is art, gender economics, human development, declining sex ratio, and gender audit of budgets. Ma'am, I invite you to speak.
Hello. Yeah. Very good morning, respected Dr. V.S. Kannan, Mr. Richard Kanerski, Ms. Gayatri Sharma, Ms. Aruna Patil-Raji, Ms. Paramita Bora, Mr. Simprit Singh, Dr. Diba Bakshi, Dr. Vishal Yoza, WBC team, and esteemed participants, students and teachers of Mumbai University. Congratulations for kickstarting the Mumbai Gender Law 2023 with an overarching theme of challenging gender stereotypes and promoting gender equality. Gender laws were initiated with the ideological backdrop that men and women are socially conditioned to occupy different roles They face different expectations and challenges, and these biases are often subtle and invisible. Often they are not intentional or malicious. Regardless, treating all people equally doesn't necessarily result in equal outcomes, as we know, because of intersectional vulnerabilities. Socioeconomic, cultural, political developments have differential impact based on intersectionality of caste, class, race, religion, ethnicity, religion, and gender. And in order to change these unjust gender norms and to ensure gender responsive journey of our civilization towards equality, the new generation must be prepared to be gender inclusive. They must transcend gender binaries and overcome prejudice against sexual minorities. With this perspective, Gender Log series started organizing student-oriented programs by applying gender lens. And the default gender-related assumptions that underlie our thinking are likely to remain invisible or none. And therefore, we can mislead them. And also, without realizing it, unless we bring this aspects to our attention, we can't change the gender relations in the direction of equality. And it is not just men who have variation when it comes to gender. All of us have our package, and we are conditioned to see things with a prejudice mindset of male domination, subordination, of sexual minorities and women, self-preference, stigmatization of LGBTQIA community, discrimination in the family community, workplace and public life, using gender lens while analyzing, planning, making decisions. It means carefully and deliberately we need to examine the implications of our work in terms of gender, and we need to understand why sex ratio in India is adverse, why there are more girls who drop out of school, why there is a extremely deplorably low work participation of women when UGC is boasting about churning out millions of girls, not only with BA, BCom degree, but in all streams except MTech. I think everywhere there is a parity in the university. Why these degrees don't translate into career? Or this is despite the constitutional mandate providing equality of all citizens. Gender Law is a series introduced by Frederick Ebert Stiftung, India office, to provide platform for this wide deliberations and dissemination. And during this last 6 years in Mumbai city, I have coordinated Mumbai Gender Law series, and we had nearly 23 gender laws, a wide range of issues. Institutions involved when I was in TISS, it was Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai University, SNDT Women's University, and also Pune University had taken part. They traveled from Pune to Mumbai to take part in issues which were deliberated in different years. First, it was the sexual harassment at workplace in 2017, then the cyberbullying, gender-based violence, women's reservation bill. We had a mock parliament on that. Then connecting the dots of confrontation with toxic patriarchy, right from Mathura to Me Too. That was also the theme. Gender expression, doing various art forms, where the students made presentations of their poetry, slogan, skits, stories. And during the pandemic, 2020-21, we had online gender logs. 3 gender logs in semester 1, 3 gender logs in semester 2. So each year we had 6 gender logs, and on the whole we have totally we have 23 gender logs, and our partners have been mainly these 3 colleges, KES Shroff College, and we have Maniben Nanavati College and Sophia Center for Women's Studies, and it is a long-term partnership. We are on the same wavelength of sensibility, and gender responsiveness. So it has been a really pleasurable experience to work together and also arriving at a collective wisdom. Thank you very much for initiating this activity. Thank you.
Vibhuti ma'am has been instrumental in helping KES Shroff be where we are today. So ma'am, if you could wait for just 1 second, I request Dr. Kannan please to felicitate ma'am with a small token of Allah. Thank you so much, ma'am. Mr. Richard Kanarski served among others as personal assistant to Saxon Social Democratic Parliamentary Group leader Martin Dewey, as policy advisor and personal aide to Peter Petra Shopping, Saxon State Minister on Integration and Gender Equality, and as head of the Office of Minister and Deputy Prime Minister of Saxon in the State Ministry of Economic Affairs and Labour and Transport. Mr. Saxon has worked for the Frederick Ebert Stiftung since October 2021. Since 2022, he has worked as Deputy Country Director at the FES India office and as Project Director for Peace and Security in South Asia. I welcome you, sir, and ask you to please address. Before that, I ask Dr. Vaishali Oja to please present a small token of love.
Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste, everyone, and good morning. Thanks to Schroff College for having the opportunity to speak today on this important issue, and more important, having such distinguished panelists here in the discussion. So I mean, I've got only the opportunity to speak, as you heard from the Vita. I'm the Deputy Director of FES here in India, and of course it's a privilege to serve here because it's super interesting times to be in India right now. I mean, an upcoming nation which was definitely as well beforehand upcoming, but no one really in Europe realized it. Now everyone is realizing it, and so I think there was no more interesting time to work here than these days. So when we are discussing about gender equality and stereotypes, I was thinking about what can I say, and I try to give you a personal insight of my feeling, how, from my point of view, Indian movies these days, Indian films, impacted me the most. Because when you are coming from Europe, the only thing you've got in mind is stereotypes about Bollywood. So a bit dancing, a bit singing, sometimes a bit martial art, fighting, lots of tears, 3 hours, and then it's over. So this is the stereotype most of the people in Europe have about Bollywood. When I came to Delhi almost 1 year ago, my Netflix algorithm changed completely. And to be honest, this was one of the most interesting things I ever experienced, because from one day to another, there was not only all the German, European, US American, whatever movies in my algorithm. There was lots of movies from Asia, and of course there were lots of movies from India. And as someone, I'm really sorry, I'm here for 1 year. I don't really speak Hindi, but the good thing is most of the things today are accessible in English. So I had the opportunity when I sat alone in Delhi in my flat to watch Indian movies. And this was quite amazing for me, and a very interesting change of perspectives, because most of you, I think, have the access to Netflix, YouTube, whatever, because cinema, this is something super important and interesting from my point of view. Cinema, movies have completely changed. When I was younger, there was no Netflix at all. So I had to go to the movies to watch movies. Today, I can go, we've got the movies at home, so we can see it in the kitchen, in the living room. I heard some people do it as well during work or when they do their studies. But you've got the possibility to access it everywhere. And this makes it super interesting, because when I see a movie, I've got the possibility to watch it till the end, or I skip it. And this makes it super interesting, because Indian movies, from my point of view, when you watch, for example, I was deeply impressed by Taj Mahal 1989, for example, or Kala, if you have seen it, or as well Katl. So movies which deal, this is a point from my point of view, which deal with social questions, which deal with questions of gender, caste, class, social situation, social problems here. Sometimes it's between the lines, sometimes it's very obvious, and this is so super interesting, because we have to reflect on the things which happen. And I think movie is something super interesting to deal exactly with this situation, because as a last anecdote, when movies were established, I heard the story. I'm not sure if it is an urban legend or if it's true, but it's a nice one. When there was the first film screening, people ran afraid out of the movie hall because they saw that the train, which was on the screen, is driving directly in their direction, and people stood out their seats and ran, and the screening was over. You see with this small anecdote that movie and film has such a potential action. I mean, not in a sense today that people are fleeing, but the impact of movies, the energy, the possibility to do something, to really make a change in sending a message, to address certain topics. This is something what I love about movies. So I'm super happy being here in Mumbai. I'm super happy that we managed it to have such a great audience. Thanks again to the college. Have a nice day. I'm really looking forward to it, and now I'm quiet because I'm as well only in the audience. Thanks for coming, and have a nice day.
Ms. Gayatri Sharma is a program advisor at Frederick Ebert Center on gender and social justice. Ma'am, I please request you to address the gathering. Before I do that, I request Dr. Oja to please felicitate ma'am with a small token of Allah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'll just take 2 minutes. I'm a millennial. I think all of you here are Generation Z. So the kind of movies I have watched is different. And for me, the first movie I watched in a cinema hall, I don't know if you've seen it, it's Dil, Amir Khan and Madhuri Dixit. And I don't know if you know the story, but what happens is that Madhuri Dixit is this very attractive woman who comes to the college. Amir Khan is obviously attracted to her and he teases her. He constantly teases her to the point that she files a false case of rape against him. Thereafter, he teaches her a lesson and she falls head over heels in love with him. You have no idea how these movies impact us. And first of all, women are emotional. They file false cases. The more you chase a woman, the more she's likely to fall in love with you. The impact of movies is, and cinema and content, literature was talking about how it's changed, is much more than anything else. So I'm also really looking forward to this discussion because I think we are dealing with a very important issue here. And I'm looking forward to hearing from all the eminent speakers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I now begin introducing our panelists. I begin with Dr. Sharda. She is the director of Population First and spearheads the media advocacy campaign for gender sensitivity, Ladli, which had initiated conversations with many influencers in print and electronic media, script writers, and other content developers through awards, fellowships, workshops, and consultations. She was a member of the Central Board for Film Certification and also initiated gender analysis of advertisements and films in print media. She reviews and scores the advertisements released every week in the campaign India magazine for gender sensitivity. She was invited by the US government under the International Visitors Leadership Program on the role of NGOs in addressing global gender issues in June of 2009. She is appointed as an international consultant by the UNFPA Bangladesh to develop media sensitization modules on gender-based sex selections with particular focus on prompting positive portrayals of girls and women to change the undervaluing of girls and son preference in society. I welcome you, Dr. Sharda. I request you to please take your seat on the dais. Before that, I request Dr. Oja to please felicitate her with a token of honor. I continue with Aruna Raje Patil. Aruna ma'am enrolled initially at Grant Medical College in Pune to study medicine, but later quit to join the Film and Television Institute of India. She passed out of FTI with a gold medal in 1969 becoming the first trained woman technician in the industry. She co-edited acclaimed movies like Gid and Masoom. The duo later took to direction. Pardon, she later took to direction, making films like Sheikh, Gairaiya, and Sita. After separating from, apologies, she also made national award-winning documentaries on the well-known classical dancers Malaika Sarabhai and her special children, The New Paradigm. She has won 6 national awards for her film. Ma'am, I request you please take the dais. I request Radhika ma'am, member of Women Development and Empowerment Cell, to please felicitate ma'am with a small token of her love. I move on to Paramita Vora ma'am. Paramita Vora is an Indian filmmaker and writer. She is known for her documentaries on subjects such as urban life, pop culture, and gender. She has also written the screenplays of award-winning features film Khamosh Pani. Her film production company, Parodevi Pictures, is based in Mumbai. She writes a column Paranormal Activity for the Sunday Midday and also wrote a weekly column for Mumbai Mirror. She has acted also in a movie called Auntie 303 in the channel We Promos for the same name. She had a cameo in the English movie English, cameo in the film English, August. I request ma'am to please take her seat on the dais. And before that, I request Radhika ma'am to please felicitate ma'am with the token of honor. I move on to Dr. Vibha Bakshi. Dr. Vibha Bakshi is an Indian filmmaker, journalist, and founder of Responsible Films. She is a critically acclaimed, multi-award winning film director and producer whose films have unleashed global movements for the change. Dr. Bakshi is the recipient of 4 National Film Awards awarded by the President of India. This is the highest recognition in Indian cinema. Dr. Vibha has conferred the honorary doctorate, Doctor of Humane Letters, from her alma mater, Boston University, USA, for her work as a filmmaker and journalist in changing the narrative on gender injustice globally. I request ma'am to please take her seat on the panel and Dr. Oja to please felicitate her with a small token of her love. Now moving on to the moderator of our session, Simpreet Singh. Simpreet Singh works around the intersection of art, activism, and archives. Presently, he is associated with transforming M-Board project at Tata Institute of Social Sciences, where, amongst other things, he curates a film club for the students from M East Ward. In the past, as a member of Studio Camp, he had worked on a 3-part internal film, Ghar Mein Sheher Hona, that traces the housing histories of Bombay in its cultural matrix and on a never-ending city archiving project past, present, future. I request Dr. Oja to please welcome sir with a token of honor. I think by now we all know Mr. Richard. I also please request you to take your seat on the dais. And I hand over the dais to Mr. Singh.
Once again, a very warm good morning, and I'm really honored to be here, to be sitting here, and I'll be very honest, like for me it's like a fan movement, and, because I've followed, and honestly, not work of everyone, but yes, work of some of the people who are here, and also one of the reason I'm here is to listen to them and also to know more about what I didn't knew earlier. And I'm also aware that you are not here to listen to me. In the sense, so because when we have present amongst us the panelists who have been just not talking, but also more importantly doing, which is about breaking and challenging the sort of gender stereotypes that we just not see in media or on cinema, but and I think we, as persons, we all experience in our lives day in and day out. And I think that's what human life is about. The minute we wake up, the type of society setup we have, that we have to engage and we have to experience these sort of stereotypical roles which have been set by someone, and we at times unquestioningly we follow, which means that who will wake first in the morning. 99.9% it's going to be a woman who has to wake up, and she will be the one who is supposed or forced to sleep the last, and that's what, and like so these stereotypes are not something which are on the screen, and I think that's why when we watch these movies, at sometimes they are for some they are uncomfortable, for some they are a joke, and so it's the response is always also different, because the way we are able to relate to what is being shown on that screen or in the advertisements or the news that we read. So I'll just reiterate one or two points which have been already said by the speakers. The first is about the power of cinema and media. And I think there's a duality in that, because at one level, the cinema as well as the media, what it does is it sort of reinforces the cultural norms, what are the stereotypes are, our perceptions about how the world should be. And at the same time, it has the power to challenge them. And that's what when we see, like we are able to see that, oh, some of the movies, they like, Dil is an example which reinforces, but then Kala, it sort of is challenging that no, if it was like that, but what was the story behind that? Or what led the Madhuri Dixit to do something, and I think like there's a gap of another 20, 30 years to sort of, the question was there and the answer we get after 20 years. And I think like there is the that role of media and cinema, it can does both, which means that we just can't be like the sort of the innocent receptors of what is being shown or what is being fed to us. But these days, it is just not media, it is not social media. In the sense that the first thing what we do is when we wake up, we have our phone. And then unquestioningly or very uncritically, we just consume that what is being shown to us. The thing that what could have changed the reality is reinforcing the same reality to us, and we are just consuming it, and which means that we have to always keep on questioning, which doesn't mean that we boycott it or we cancel it, but we engage with it very critically and see that what is being served to us, is it something which is reinforcing what is the wrong that has been happening in the society around us, or we engage with it critically and see to it that, oh, this is a stereotype, and it should not be reinforced time and again. And this brings on to the panel where all the members who are present here, they are sort of, for me, the role models, or can be the role models for all of us if they already are not, because they have just not sort of highlighted these stereotypes, but also I think each of their work has contributing in challenging those stereotypes, and not just raising the question, but also has given answers in their work over the years by giving us examples that how you can break these stereotypes, and how like what are the answers to these questions. So I'll just stop here, and like uh, uh, there are many ways to take this discussion ahead, and one of the things can be like in the sense one way can be, it is a request to all of you, if, and I know we have limitation of time, which is the a very unfortunate part of this, is that if you can share some of your sort of life journeys, in the sense that 20 years back or 30 years back, we were also like this. We were our own journeys, all of us. have started somewhere, and what came to us was that way not natural, in the sense that there was some sort of a motivation, some sort of struggle which was there. So if you can just share some sort of anecdotes from that journey, and maybe Paromita, you can start. And okay, yeah. So maybe we can start from here. Like if you can share about, like, in the sense of what I learned about you, and I've been following the FTI and what the people who have been working here. And honestly, I never knew that you were the first sort of like the woman technician, trained technician to come out.
That's right. And when I came into the industry, there were no girls, just actresses and hairdressers. And they would just look me up and down and think I'm just there, eye candy. And nothing. They wouldn't even, I mean, I'm a director, for heaven's sake. I mean, he said we started directing, straight right from the beginning we were doing directing and editing. So, on the spot, men don't like to take orders from women. That is the first thing you confront. And then they think women are not smart enough, not brainy enough, not intelligent enough, all of that stuff. And then they look at you and they don't listen to you. And there I had to work, I don't know, a million times harder than at that time we were working together when we started. And I had to prove every time that I knew my job. And they would actually come, I'm not exaggerating, no exaggeration, they'd come into the studio, ladke, hurry, suddenly there's a girl over there, she's sitting in the lab doing some work. Hello, I'm not a person in a zoo. You won't believe it, that's how it was. And then, I was very neat and I was a tomboy. I would climb trees, I would jump over walls, gates, whatever. And if I was shooting, even in a documentary, we were shooting a kind of this thing on top there, and they're all looking, nobody wants to work, they want to watch, I'm not a stunt queen over there. So it was very hard. Whatever I was doing, whether I was sitting at the table editing or I was on the spot shooting, it was difficult. And it's only when they realized that this girl knows her job, they started following orders. Because the director's job is to say action and cut and whatever you have to give orders, and you're the leader of the team. So that was one of the things that happened. And later on, they would give you any shot that you ask for. You want the moon? All right, ma'am, we'll get you the moon. It's like, they're right behind you because you've proved to them that you can do it. So the initial years were about proving that you can do anything that anybody else can do, And then, of course, then I made this my first, even my very first film, which I did with my husband, the woman had a very powerful role. I mean, we had Shabana and Vinod Khanna. Shabana, of course, he didn't mention the names. Shak, he's called it Sheikh, unfortunately. It was Shak, which means doubt. Shak, Gehrai, Siddham, I mean, these were the films we did together. Then I made a film called Rihai, which was about this woman standing up in the village. It was a rural story and facing the press. I'm going very short. I'm jumping all over the place because I don't want to take too much time. And you have your press conference, and the guys are asking me, "What do you want? You want sleeping rights?" I said, "Whoever wants to sleep will sleeps. So who am I to ask for any rights?" I said, "What do you mean?" Because this film was about women having needs. So women also it was supposed to be a very, very bold film, and it had a big star cast. So that's what actually took it to the masses. Otherwise, it would have been a small film stuck somewhere, not seen for years together. But it had Vinod Khanna, Hema Malini, and Nasiruddin Shah, and Neena Gupta, and Leela Arun, and a whole lot of great talent. So, and then there was another question. He said, "You are spoiling our women." Not assault. I said, "Oh, so powerful, my God, it's wonderful." So I said, "Tell me something. In every group of every community, people do sleep with each other, out of marriage, adultery, whatever it is." I said, "When that happens in your group, do you go amongst you to find maybe a friend's wife or a colleague's wife or some other person in your group, or do you go to the red light area?" He sat down. Because he was cornered. Where's the answer? I mean, people do, these things happen, relationships happen, and we have to be mature enough to understand that, So there were a lot of experiences, and then I made another film in the red light area, did a lot of work. most of my films have been, about women and women issues, and so without even knowing, asking for it, I became a voice for women in short. And my films, and my last film, for example, Firebrand on Netflix, again challenges all the stereotypes. And one more thing I'd like to share. There was this, I had to do a rape scene. Now, rapes are there in Bollywood. Rape scenes are supposed to be entertainment. They're titillating, and people enjoy those things. And what happens, when guys rape women, rape girls, they do video program and they shoot that on video. Why? Is it a film? Are you shooting a little film of your own? Some girl, some gang rape, and you're shooting it? So it's like they become filmmakers now because they have this mobile camera and they want to shoot this. They've seen this over and over again in Hindi movies, rapes, titillating rapes. So when I made this, I had this like to show the rape of a young girl. How am I going to do that? It was a very challenging thing for me. How do I show it? So I had another girl, and the rape is going on in this room. Little girl and this elderly man, and this other girl who wants to stop it. This was on the Devdasis of the Yellama temple. So she comes and she cannot get in, and there's a broken window and there's a ledge, and she climbs it, and the whole rape is picturized on the face of this girl watching. Of course, and the soundtrack is that little girl screaming, but I do not show what is actually happening to that girl, because when it's over, the girl in the window collapses having seen what she should not have seen. And then the censor board called me and they said, this is very disturbing. I said, I want it to be disturbing. I mean, rapes are not to be enjoyed. They're supposed to be shake the shit out of you. I'm sorry I'm using that word, but they're supposed to really disturb you. They're not. And they said, what, we just cut something. I said, you tell me what to cut. There's nothing to cut. There's some screaming on that soundtrack, and there's a girl in the window, and this girl is lying there crying at the end of it. So, we have to do things like that. Another time, how can we as filmmakers, or even as, rape is supposed to be disgusting. In Firebrand, for example, there are clips of, rape happening, and we said, it has to be disgusting. What do we do? So I thought, okay, let me put a dog panting. The dog, it's completely nothing to do with the film. There is no dog. But that dog panting on that little rape made you feel sick. And I want people to feel sick about these things. We have tools, we are filmmakers, we are media people, and we have to, really shake people up and say this is not acceptable. So whenever, things like that. So we have to use what we have and do it really like yeah.
I think so. As a society, we are hypocritical. What sort of violence is sort of celebrated, and what sort of real violence we want to not acknowledge.
And when you talk about everyday things, I'll just say one more thing. I'm supposed to be, recently they made me chairman of my building society. And we have a meeting, and there are 4 women and a lot of men in the group. And so we had this meeting, and I believe in being punctual, and the women, I sent a message, everyone come on time. The men didn't turn up. There were 4 women, and we had the quorum. And one of the women is saying, no one has come. I said, we 4 are no one? 4 women sitting there, we have the quorum on time, and this other woman says, nobody has come. I said, that means we are all nobody. So I said, I'm sorry, let's start the meeting. I mean, this is how everyday little things that you are talking about, this is how it exists for people.
Yeah, like
The reality that you were telling me, I mean, this is the reality.
Yes, in the sense, like, so many things like that. What does your mother do? She does nothing.
And by the way, when the maid comes, my son opens the door. In the morning, when the maid